Welcome to another episode of the Miles Offside podcast, where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of nonsense. My name is Oscar Puente, also known as Footy From Afar, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Quiz Wizard Chuck Bailey and super producer Ian Stimpson. Ian, let's check in on Posh Island. You guys are up in the championship. It's been a few game weeks, a few matches now. How's it going?
New. Yeah. Lost 6-2 to Sheffield United. Six. What does that mean on the Chuck scale?
It was 6.
Of apology. Yeah.
Was it actually 6?
It was 6-2.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I thought it was 5. Oh, I believe that means he has to write a letter to his to the opposition manager's mother, whilst also getting relegated.
Immediately, yeah. I mean, it's annoying because obviously at the start of the season, Sheffield United, you'd have gone, yeah, ex-Premier League, they're gonna tonk us, but they've done shit so far. They're lower in the league than we were at the start of this game, and we made them look so good.
All right. Any good things going on? Anything you want to, maybe did you go see Shang-Chi or anything like that?
No, I haven't seen that yet. No, you have though. Is it good?
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh my God. I have yet to fill out the spreadsheet and rank it appropriately in the pantheon of Marvel movies. I need to see it 2 more times before I'm allowed to give scores for myself and my own rules. But it's way up there for origin movies. Absolutely. Like one of the better opening movies for any character in Marvel, full stop. It was really, really, really fucking good.
I have decided that I want to go to the cinema a bit more often now. Like now they've reopened. It was something I weirdly missed, even though I didn't do that often. And we've gone a couple of times. Like during the mini lockdown opening we had in the summer, me and Finley went to see Empire Strikes Back in the cinema. It was fucking brilliant. It was such a good time. So I just made a promise to myself that I'd go to the cinema a bit more often. So I think now Finley's old enough, we need to go see these Marvel films on release, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been generally pretty empty at the theaters, so like it's pretty relaxing actually when it's just like you and 2 other people spread out completely. But opening night for Shang-Chi, like we were in an IMAX theater, so a giant auditorium, packed. Every single seat was full. This was opening night, so it's all like the mega nerds like me. And I had genuinely forgotten like how cool it is to see stuff in a crowd. Anyway, whatever. Chuck, how about you? How are things going with you?
What just happened?
I was getting involved in Marvel chat, Chuck. It was a good time.
I haven't seen it since. I'm seeing it tomorrow. I haven't seen it since yesterday. What? That wouldn't make sense. I want to be Edouard. I wanna be Edouard. I wanna be Edouard. Yeah. What? 3-0. Fuck off. Sorry, Jeff.
Well, Chuck is obviously very eager to get to the soccer this week, so let's go ahead and start moving in that general direction. If you are joining us for the first time, thank you. We are very happy to have you. We are the Miles Offside, and we are 2 Brits and 1 American, and we try to talk about the Premier League, but often, as you can already tell, get very off track. But we do like to kick things off around here with our very, very famous segment, Rapid Fire News. Our top story this evening, Tottenham Hotspur's 63,000-seat stadium has won a major architecture prize. The stadium in North London, which hosted its first Premier League game in April 2019, is one of 54 winners of the 2021 Royal Institute of British Architects National Awards. It says the arena was praised as a tour de force in stadium design.
I'd love to win an award in cheese room design specifically. Do we think this is what kept Kane at Tottenham? They said, we will win some trophies, we promise. We've got this big architecture thing in the pipeline. It's going to happen. You need to stick around. You'll get that on your CV. This is what kept Kane there?
It was the promise of silverware. Not the Tottenham story I thought we were going to lead with, but never mind. Build up to that, I guess, lads. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice stadium, cheese room or no cheese room, so...
It's worse without the cheese room, but yeah.
It is really genuinely like a beautiful stadium. I will say, like the glass and the curves on it. She thick, boys. She dummy.
Yeah, I'm led to believe that the acoustics are absolutely amazing in it as well. That big stand just apparently brings all the sound down towards the pitch, which is what you want in a new stadium, not a big bowl. That's not what you want in a new stadium.
Right.
All right, well, let's move on. Our next story this evening, the Premier League, EFL, and SPFL have confirmed their opposition to FIFA's plan for a World Cup every 2 years. There have since been other organizations to come out against it, including, I believe, South America. They are the members of the European League and World League forums who have issued statements saying they firmly and unanimously oppose reducing the tournament gap from 4 to 2 years. I did see the Olympics also came out against this. So basically everyone except FIFA thinks this is the worst fucking idea ever. What are your guys' takes on a World Cup every 2 years and how this is sort of playing out?
Well, you say about EFL, Premier League, SFPL. It was also Ligue 1, La Liga, Serie A, the Russian Premier League, the Bundesliga, the Portuguese League. Like 14 European leagues came together against it with statements. I think all 6 federations have come out against it. It's only FIFA who want to make money and a load of players who don't play anymore involved in hostage situation videos where they say how good of a thing it would be. Like, what the fuck? Peter Schmeichel's sitting there just like, yeah, it would be really good. Meanwhile, there's a gun to his back. Like, I am safe. I am well. Look, if your one main revenue stream is once every 4 years, of course you want to make it more often. But what happens then? So that becomes every 2 years. So what, the Euros is every year in between that. So there's no summers off ever for these players with their ever increasing fucking fixture congestion and all this kind of gubbins. Absolutely ridiculous. Arsene Wenger needs to have a serious word with himself. Maybe get checked out at a doctor's because it's a fucking stupid idea and we should all just move on with our lives.
Fair enough. Ian, anything to add?
Well, I was interested to see what you had to say about it, Oscar, because I feel like sometimes you're more of the thing of good football is good and want it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. There's the key phrase is good football there. The World Cup is fun,
right.
But it is not good football. Like, get the fuck out of here. Come on. There's so many arbitrary, well, not arbitrary. I mean, it's for country reasons, but like the constraints on national teams mean that you get like an elite player playing with like some guy who is, works on a farm sometimes. Like, I'm not particularly a fan of international football. I mean, the World Cup is fun, but like, I'm all for club over country, 110%. Are you guys not?
No. Genuinely, if all those questions about blah blah blah, your team winning the Premier League or England winning the World Cup, whatever, it is my team every single day of the week and twice on Sunday.
At this rate, they will be playing twice on Sunday with the fixture congestion too, if they try to do two World Cups.
Okay, I'm interested to see that you. Yeah, obviously I'm a traditionalist. There's a shock. So I would like it to stay as 4 years. I think these things are nice to have, not too often. But I did wonder whether you might go the other way. But I'm so it literally is just FIFA, isn't it, that want this? There's no one else. Okay, surely.
No, even all the leagues. Even I think Zack Snyder released a statement on behalf of the Justice League coming out against
Justice League. Yeah.
Speaking of fixture congestion, let's move on to the next story. Japan has pulled out of hosting the Club World Cup in December because of COVID-19 restrictions. FIFA said the Japanese Football Association told them on Thursday that it is no longer in a position to host the competition. The annual tournament features the champions of the different continents, with Chelsea qualifying as this year's Champions League winners. FIFA said details about an alternative host will be announced in due course. Is it too much to hope that FIFA will just cancel this one because the clubs don't need to be traveling and all that sort of stuff?
Nope, they're going to do it in the Middle East for a 5th time because Tokyo can't. So, I mean, why not? It's not like all of this is about money or anything with Qatar. And I guess it's a practice warm-up winter tournament for next year. So, just make the players go in the middle of December to the Middle East to play some games for reasons, for super friendlies.
I'm very displeased that Chelsea are in this. Generally, it shouldn't exist at all, but especially when Chelsea are in it, I don't think it should exist.
Funny that, yeah.
Until they win it.
Then he gets a shirt with a badge on the arm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. Speaking of the Asia Trophy badge, that came up on my Facebook timeline recently. I know I sent you guys the picture of this, but blast from the past. I was like, got my new Torres jersey. Got the wrong patches. This day, 10 years ago. I was like, oh yeah.
Torres playing for Chelsea with an Asia Trophy on a badge on his arm.
I know, that's a jersey, man. That is something. Yeah. Oof.
Limited edition, 1 of 1.
Yeah, the only one. Arguably, probably the only one in the world. With a Torres Chelsea jersey with Asia Premier preseason cup trophy patches. Yeah. Oh, man. All right, well, let's just move on then to the next story. Let's get serious for a minute because we do sometimes. I don't really want to comment on this one particularly, but Sir Dr. Marcus Rashford did publish a piece in The Spectator. We can link to it on our Twitter. It is strongly recommended. The title is Why I Don't Stick to Football. And I did want to just read a tiny excerpt of it to sort of put that information out there because I barely came across this article, so even a lot of very online soccer people might not come across it. He said, among other things, ultimately success comes down to communication, and this is where we have been falling short. Anyone who has followed my child food poverty task force will know that we have tried to increase uptake of the government's Healthy Start scheme, which benefits low-income pregnant women and children under 4. An extra 62,000 people in England are now using this scheme, but 40% of those eligible, 216,000 families, are still not registered. These parents will likely be found in communities just like mine, no internet, no high street, just word of mouth. So if you are out and about in England, especially for our listeners posted there, and you can help spread the word to someone who, you might know of someone in a community like that, no internet, no high street, word of mouth, like Sir Dr. Marcus Rashford is mentioning, then please do help spread that word. It is an unbelievably important issue. He is very correct in that he should not be sticking to sports here. And if he has that platform to help people, then very important that those people get food because nobody thinks that kids should be going hungry. So shout out Sir Dr. Marcus. Excellent piece in The Spectator. And again, that title was Why I Don't Stick to Football. Extremely recommended that you read the whole thing. But we did just want to put that out there about the 40% of people eligible still not registered. So go ahead and help spread that word if you are in the UK. And we would greatly appreciate it. And the kids would greatly appreciate it. So that's where I'm at on that. And then let's go to one final and obviously upsetting story that is a running sort of segment on here. And that is the racist issues in the game and bringing a light to them whenever they do come up. Rio Ferdinand recently was speaking to the government on their draft of the online safety bill. And he says that football is sliding backwards and racism is being normalized because of the prevalence of racist abuse online. Speaking to a joint parliamentary committee seeking possible improvements, Ferdinand said he had seen family members disintegrate after he was abused on social media. Self-esteem, your mental health is at risk. When those 3 players missed those penalties, the first thing I thought was, let's see what happens on social media. I expected the abuse to happen. He's exactly right. This has been a thing that we've been talking about since before even the pandemic, but has sort of been brought to light more so as the Black Lives Matter movement took off here and, the kneeling and more light has been shown on it. It's nice to see that they're doing a parliamentary committee seeking for improvements on this bill, but, the state of the world is such that there's limited amounts of things that perhaps that might be able to affect. But yeah, any comment here, boys, on football sliding backwards? Do you think that things are getting worse, or is it just that we're seeing more stories about it, or kind of where are you at?
It's hard to tell whether it is getting worse or more of a light is being shined on it. More people are being made aware and therefore exposing it a lot more. It's really hard to see. It is still out there. It's still very prevalent. The Twitter, or was it Instagram that came out to say about the abuse of the three players for the penalty shootout in the Euros? Like most of it was England anyway.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just kind of exposing herself. Hopefully it's more of like a kind of death thrash of more of these idiots getting more vocal because they know it's like dying out or they're being exposed anywhere. And people are being challenged more, in what small way it can do to then progress us on. Sadly, it probably is never going to completely go away. These people are in all forms of life, and it is people that on levels that aren't necessarily completely outwardly racist, but, say some things between friends and those kind of things. And you're a bit like, no, please don't. Please don't say those kind of things. Not just the fact that I don't want to hear them, but just you shouldn't be fucking saying that stuff anyway. Any sort of stereotypes, be that for racial or gender or sexual orientation or any of those reasons. There's just no fucking reason for it. So maybe that's just me being a bit more hopeful and trying to be optimistic with it as someone who is not an experiencer of the situation as being a victim or a target of those kind of things. But that's just my kind of hopeful take on it at the minute that it's being exposed.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is I feel like if you take it from I don't know, 20, even 30 years ago, whatever, to now, people who are quite rightly complaining about racism and calling it out are among the right people held up as heroes. And like, you know, remember when Southgate missed his penalty in the Euros? You know, he had a fucking nightmare in the media for a long time. Now, while these 3 black players missed their penalties and, yes, got social media abuse, racist abuse specifically, among the right people, they were immediately held up as, you know, young players who did brilliantly for their country. We got to the final. You know, it felt like there was a groundswell of support that wouldn't have been there in the 80s, the 90s. Just wouldn't have happened at all. So I think, and it is a tiny shard of light, I think, but is that players who call this stuff out now, among the right people, are held up as, look at these guys doing the right thing, you know, and look at these guys on the other side doing completely the wrong thing. Whereas in the 80s and 90s, I feel like it would have been it's all part of the game, you just got to get on with it. And I feel like it's all part of the game, you got to get on with it mentality is going away now. You know, the acceptance of, oh no, we need to listen to, you know, what these guys have been putting up with all their lives and is now amplified through social media and being famous. I feel like that's an improvement. And while there's still awful things happening, as Chuck says, we're probably never going to get, you know, we're never going to get to zero COVID, zero racism. But it does slightly warm my heart that at least we're, you know, the people calling this out now are seen as doing a good thing rather than just, you should crack on with your job, mate.
Yeah, that's definitely something that even on like my side of it, the brown people side of it, it does feel different. It was very, very, very lonely for the majority of my life, and now it's still kind of lonely, but at least I know that like some people wish that things were better, and like just even that thought is enough to sort of hang on to. But I do also think that his point about how it affects the people around them is really important and something that doesn't get talked about enough. Obviously, it's going to affect the person that's getting the racial abuse. But like, so for example, he said, I have to sit there with my kids and explain what the monkey emoji means in that context.
Yeah.
So like, that is even more, I think, upsetting. No, not more upsetting. I don't know. It's just such a fucking situation in general.
Yeah,
but,
it's fucking awful to hear that. It really is.
But I think that's something that does definitely go uncommented on. And that's the effect that it has on their families and the people that like love them. And even in my own life, I see that with like when racist shit happens to me and then I tell Emily about it, even if it's like I'm not looking for anything other than like I just want to vent, I see how much it upsets her. And like that almost it adds a layer of like sadness to me when I get shit. And I'm not getting it from thousands and thousands of people in a very public sort of light. So you have to think it's unbelievably difficult for their families. And as you guys say, hopefully it's something that like the more it's out in the open, the more people are talking about it, the more we bring it up every couple of weeks, the more the people that otherwise would have perhaps been afraid to say, hey man, don't do that shit, for being called like hysterical or dramatic or being, you know, whatever, I think now do feel that ability to sort of say, hey, you should not fucking do that. And we're going to do the opposite thing really, really loud. And that is definitely a good thing. That's definitely a good thing. So anyway, let's move on from the racism and the social stuff and the news to some very fucking exciting soccer. Chuck, you've been vibrating in your seat for the last 26 minutes and 18 seconds as of recording. I wanna.
Oh, it was a good day.
Let's just introduce the scoreline for the peoples. Kicking things off.
If you haven't heard.
Yeah, in case you haven't heard, Saturday, the early kickoff, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 a.m. West Coast Time, 12:30 London Time. It is Crystal Palace 3, Tottenham 0. Crystal Palace 2.9 to Tottenham 0.1. Chuck, I believe that is what we call a what?
I believe we call that a dicking.
A dicking! Come on, talk to us. This is to be like the fucking best thing that's happened to Palace in years, right? Like, this is a huge, huge win, a statement, big team, etc., etc. Like, fucking give me everything. Go for a rant here. Like, I want to hear it.
Immediately after that window you've just had as well.
After the transfer window, yeah. It's hard not to get overexcited about that and also feel a bit vindicated when for how I've been portraying this team and what we can do and those kind of bits. And, you know, granted, there's a bit of discord is a bit wrong, but you know, there's a lot going on with Tottenham, the Argentinian players, injuries, those kind of bits. But at no point in that game did they get a foothold whatsoever. And that's just so alien to me. You know, Nuno said, oh, in the first half, like, we controlled the game. Like, you fucking didn't, mate.
Nope.
You had
Nope.
40% possession and you had one shot. Even before the red card for Tanganga, for his second yellow, like, we were still controlling the game. And when that happened, I was a bit like, okay, let's see what happens from here. I've always said we never do well against 10 men, those kind of things. Obviously, we get the penalty. Which I think Ben Davies is far enough away from Conor Gallagher that it is. Maybe if he was a bit closer, they might have said that's, you know, it's a bit too close, incidental contact to the hand, but he's got his arm completely out at a 90-degree angle by his side.
No, and he moves towards it too. He moved towards the ball with his arm. Like, that was a clear pen. I thought, at least. That was my view on it. It's hard to explain, but like, I don't think he moved his arm out to the ball. I think his arm was out as he was moving anyway, if you see what I mean. So I don't think there was I do see what you mean, yeah. But they're like, that's a pen 10 times out of 10, I think.
Yeah. Seeing Zaha step up to take it, I was like, could hardly watch. And it's not the greatest penalty in the world, probably, but, you know, Lloris went the wrong way, and that's all that matters. And so then it's what happens next that is just so alien to me, because if that was the Ghost of Christmas Past, we would have sat back, we probably would have made a defensive substitution, and we would have looked to see out a 1-0 and probably ceded a bit more possession to the Tottenham side. But we just didn't do that. You know, we bring off Benteke for Edouard on his debut. Less than 30 seconds, with his second touch of the game, scores after, you know, Spurs' defence had just capitulated and just left him on his own to take that touch and then off balance, you know, get the shot away, which was fantastic. He obviously goes on and celebrates. Then, you know, the next substitution is, right, Michael Olise's been injured for a bit. Let's bring him on. We had Milivojevic on earlier as well, which is great to see him back as well. Fantastic. And then Milivojevic plays this wicked crossfield pass. Elise picks it up, runs very, very well, almost dummies a pass into Gallagher, who then passes it into Edouard, who again is just completely free. And then it's 3-0. And it's just such a ruthless kind of we're not taking no shit approach to the game that I haven't seen in so fucking long. And it was, you know, Tottenham were top of the league before this. 3 wins, 3 clean sheets. You know, albeit they hadn't looked necessarily like they'd blown any team away, but just absolutely amazing. Like, I was so proud in that moment and seeing what I was seeing and thinking like, yes, this is what the project was. This is what we're aiming for. Exactly the type of football we want to see. Just fucking going at it and taking it to a bigger team. Like, yes, please. Thank you, please. Can I have some more, please?
When was the last time you remember feeling this big or this high off a Palace? Like when they big fucking team, you guys took it to them. It wasn't a shithouse win. You fucking spanked them. Like, it's a new squad. Your new signing literally scored on his second touch. Like, there's so many angles here. When was the last time you were this up for Palace, do you think?
Like, we've beaten big teams in the past. Like, you know, last season we beat United at Old Trafford, I think. I think we've done it twice in a row now. I'm not sure, but we got a win against Old Trafford. You know, we've had wins against Chelsea. We've had wins against City. We've had wins against Tottenham in the past, Arsenal. You know, all the big teams. We've done that. But as far as I can remember, it always felt like, obviously euphoric because you've won, but it also kind of felt like a bit of a smash and grab. Always. Whereas this just felt like just steamrolled them. Like an actual, like, fully deserved in every single area of the pitch, dominated that team. Like, Harry Kane, for the first time in his career, had no shots and no touches in the opposition box. Yeah. Which was, you know, the next the only teams he's come close to that against have been like Man City twice, I think, Chelsea once. I can't remember who else, regardless. But just unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. I don't have the words. We ended the on the pitch with 5 brand new signings as well, which is amazing, and still beating Tottenham 3-0, and like keeping them to 0.1 fucking XG, us being close to 3, whatever model you look on, like it's unbelievable to see. I'm really glad that Vieira is getting the chance and being backed and been put into this situation, because if this is what we're gonna get, like locked and loaded and ready to fucking go for the rest of the year. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah, it was like really truly a fucking smackdown. Like you mentioned, 0.1 XG for Tottenham, 2 shots total. And yes, part of that was against 10 men, but this was one of those cases where that red card was out of frustration because he was getting fucking skinned over and over and over again. Like he had been getting increasingly frustrated as he was getting outplayed over and over and over again by Zaha and by other players. And then like, he should have had a red card in the first place. He flew stiff arm straight to Zaha's face, knocked him down. That little fight, I think probably both of them could have had a red card. You know, both of them had hands on each other's faces. But the way Tanganga flew in, that was clearly like, I'm fucking sick of this guy getting behind me. I'm going to lay him the fuck out right now. And like,
yeah, I think there was part of that. And then also Lucas Moura was down at the other end of the pitch, but there was a lot of Tottenham rolling around on the floor potentially. I don't know for sure. So, you know, maybe our players had just got sick of kicking the ball out for them when it was clearly time wasting when you're dominating. So I think in that interaction, I think both players are probably lucky that they didn't get a red card, because especially when Tanganga went twice, you know, you had the original kind of stiff arm to knock him down, then knocked him down again, and then that's when it kind of went throat, faces, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if that doesn't happen, he probably doesn't get a yellow card again for the RU challenge. It's a
he had 3 yellow cards between the 2 fouls, let's say.
Yeah.
In the referee's head, he might have been on an orange for the first thing.
Exactly.
So it was
exactly.
Yeah, but that's how it happens, because as well, like, you can't necessarily referee the events in isolation and review them. Like, you have to take that into account, because the whole point, you know, a referee sending a player off isn't to give the other team an advantage. It's to prevent them from hurting someone. Is basically what it's about.
And like Tanganga looked out of control.
He did. He'd lost his head completely, which is strange considering how great of a start to the season he's been. Like, he's been dominant. He's been imperious. Like, he absolutely pocketed Sterling and Grealish on his own at right back in the first game of the season. Like, he's been amazing.
Well, this was it. It shocked Tottenham, I think, completely. And it shocked Tanganga as well. I mean, exactly what you say there is right, that you don't referee in isolation. That's why you can get a yellow for persistent fouling. So, you know, it's all part of it. The referee's got to be able to use judgment. And I think a lot of people were surprised when it was just 2 yellows from the initial incident. But it was probably the right thing to try and keep the game going. No one was hurt. Let's just try and sort of like calm it down. But then clearly he couldn't keep a lid on it. So I think it was the right decision to second yellow and off he goes. But that was the thing. I mean, it was the fact that Palace just did not think to themselves, this is Spurs, this is top of the league. It was like, oh, we've got a new young squad, we've got a new manager, we're going to go at this team. There's no reason to be scared of them whatsoever. And I think that shocked Spurs all over the field, to be honest. I don't think there was any player, or any Spurs player who didn't think, what the fuck's happening? This is not what we thought would happen to a visit to Selhurst Park. It doesn't usually go like this, you know?
No, and it was from minute 0 to minute 90. The fucking dominance. You guys had 63% possession. Like, it wasn't even close at any point. It, like, from the beginning, it looked like this was going to be a Palace win, unless they Watforded themselves into a loss or a draw, which, you know, is something that you guys have seen in the past. Kind of pulling back a little bit and looking at the bigger picture of this, at least for me, coming into the season, and especially when we did our predictor leagues before the first game week, I had you guys at least in my head in the relegation zone. I don't know if I left you in the relegation zone in my predictor league or if I bumped you up to like 16th at some point, just to be nice. And then with the window you had, I was like, okay, they're still like down there, but if some of these pieces hit, you know, you collect enough young, talented people and some of them have the right like trajectory in their stats, you're going to do something. And now it looks like not only do a bunch of them have the right trajectory, but they're also building chemistry with each other and quickly. and Eze's going to come back, I think that you guys like could finish solidly mid-table, like around 10th. I mean, last season Tottenham were the 10th best team by the underlying numbers. I don't know where they actually finished on the table, but I know they were 10th on XG or expected points or whatever. But I could see you guys being around that area. Like, I don't think you're quite Europa League, and I don't think that that's harsh either. But like, you're definitely you've moved up a tier in my estimation. Let's say.
Oh, thanks. Just above shit. It's not always. I still want to be measured in what I said. Like, it's not always going to be like this. Of course, because sometimes like it can be a live by the sword, die by the sword kind of thing. That can just be accepted, but it goes back to what I said at the very beginning of the season that like we need to survive this season. We need to stay up to keep building what we're building. Now, the methodology behind that for me isn't just try to hold on to be able to stay up, because that's just fucking insufferable. And to not deserve to be there is ridiculous. But like, if you go for it, we see this kind of football, if we're going to attack, if we're going to make if we're going to make substitutions, first of all, if it's going to be at the top end of the pitch, if we're going to have a built squad that's going to go for this, and then a few unlucky things happen and you drop down, then if we survive, then it's great. And then you're cooking and you're going further and further. So, I still stand by, if we have 10 points after 10 games, it's a fantastic result.
With the start you've got, absolutely.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it really would.
Absolutely. And so I wouldn't have expected a point against West Ham. I didn't expect any points against Tottenham. That's absolutely fantastic. We do have Liverpool next, which I don't expect anything from that as well, but who fucking knows?
But this is me and Oscar saying this as well, and we're sort of not prone to optimism, especially where Palace is.
Yeah, but you're infected by me.
Yeah, Ian, did you think that they were capable of this? And I'm asking Ian here because, again, we're like not the Palace people on the pod. Like, this caught me off guard. I didn't think they were capable of this at all, let alone like so comprehensively.
I 100% agree with that. It was what struck me was the quickness of passing and the options that were available was something you just don't see from a Palace team, or certainly. Maybe, the elephant in the room is the Hodgson thing, he didn't let them do that. But yeah, they always seem to have two options available for the pass, and it was quick and crisp passing that we have not seen from Palace before. And from someone who is not in the Palace bubble, I was surprised, and it was, well, okay, like you say, these new transfers, if they're clicking so quick, this could be a season, it was impressive.
They gave me Wolves vibes from like a few years ago.
Yeah.
Right? Am I not like, is that how you I was like, oh shit, they look dangerous going forward. And there's always somebody, like, it's not just one person up there. Like, they were really moving around.
Yeah.
It was Adama when Doherty was still there playing next to him. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like that to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not even tactically or personnel wise, just vibes, just in terms of the vibes.
On the flip side, I have seen some stuff about Nuno and Spurs, and I think I said last week about, it could be one of those play styles where like you're happy with the turgid football if you get the results. And I have seen some stuff particularly from Wolves fans saying this is kind of what you can get from Nuno, because they saw it that basically when Jimenez didn't perform, the team didn't perform. And it's whether he's going to have the same over-reliance and the way they're built on Kane, which isn't a bad thing to happen. Obviously, he's quite a good striker.
Yeah.
But it can be a bit one track, whatever. And also, obviously, just as well, odds on Edouard's XG per 90 is 11.2. So, go on.
A bit of a sample size issue there, I'm going to say. Maybe, I don't know, what's it, like 20 minutes total? Nah.
6 minutes is enough. 6 minutes is enough. 30 goals a game. Away we go.
FPL captain every week.
Okay, let's move on. It's fine. Let's move on.
I'll just say one thing on Spurs before we move on, and that this is 100% to troll Spurs fans, but also 100% true. I think they were better under Mourinho this time last season than they have been under Nuno so far. So enjoy that, Spurs fans.
Oh, good Lord.
Let's keep going then on the Saturday.
Bring back the dog mayor.
And yeah, they don't even have that excuse anymore. Let's go to the surprise result of the weekend, I think, and that was
Arsenal
20th place Arsenal beating Norwich City, punching way above their weight. Arsenal 1, Norwich 0, 3.0 to 0.6 on XG by FBref's numbers. I didn't watch that one. What the fuck happened there? Arsenal putting up 3 XG and beating a team? What is this? I don't understand.
Arsenal attacked, and Norwich did not many do good. There were a few kind of goalmouth scrambles where there were like 2-3 shots in there. Obviously, the actual goal was a shot which came off the keeper and then hit the post and then came back and hit Pepe, who then, with the back of his heel, as he was falling, flicked it over to Aubameyang, which was quite cool for an absolute tap in there. So, look, let's not lie, he fucking needed this result.
Mm-hmm.
Like, however it was going to come, however they were going to get it, it didn't matter if it was 1-0, 7-6, 8-0, whatever it was, like, they needed this. So, good for them, especially generating that much XG as well. So, it's not a Burnleying, as it were. But, it is Norwich.
Yes.
If you're going into this game and you're scared or you're wondering like what's going to happen or, you need it, like you've got bigger problems. Like I don't know that this necessarily gives Arteta a stay of execution, as it were.
No.
Because, they've got Burnley next and then they've got Tottenham, I believe.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Sunday, the 26th.
So, they could Burnley are Burnley, so who knows how they can Burnley. Tottenham will get a lot more up for that. They should have a few more players back. Obviously, I know Dyer got injured and blah. And then they've got Brighton, and Brighton are playing well. It pains me to say. So, he needed this. He needed the points. They got a goal. They got a goal against Norwich, though. So it's...
This is the thing. I think you're absolutely right to sort of meter it because the successes were Tomiyasu looked good. Aubameyang was like really pushing forward. Like he looked like he had been hurt by the sort of criticism from the previous few matches because he looked like he desperately wanted it. But exactly what you say there, Chuck. It is Norwich, and they made slow work of it for quite a long time, But while Aubameyang was driving forward a lot, they did make hard work of a team that a club like Arsenal should not be making hard work of. So it's light and shade. I think we're not out of the woods yet. It was a 1-0 against Norwich. You're absolutely right to point that out. But there were some green shoots. So, Oscar's coming in.
I think there was one thing you said there exactly that I was like, yeah, that's the point right there. And it's a team that Arsenal should be getting results again. Because if I'm going to play Arsenal apologist, which, wow, I guess Adam P is like just really is living rent free in my head at this point. I'm just trying to be nice to him. I think like the first game week, losing to Brentford, crazy result, but Brentford's first game in the top flight in 60 years. The crowd is there, whatever. It's the first week. Like you can kind of sort of excuse that. Fine, crazy shit happens. But in the 3 matches since, they've played the 2 best teams in the world and gotten smacked down, and then played probably the worst team in the Prem and won and put up a 3.0 XG scoreline. Like, yes, they only won 1-0, but they didn't make a meal of it if they put up 3 XG. I didn't watch this, but you don't put up 3 XG lightly.
You see, I don't know about that. I feel like there was more of a meal of it made than it should be. That's
okay.
All
I mean,
I
said, I didn't watch the match, so I'm just looking at the numbers, and I trust your word there. But I don't know if they're a mid-table club, which I'm sorry, I know that they don't realize they are, and I know that they wouldn't want to say that or admit that, but like they are a mid-table club at this point, both in terms of their players and their budget and their results. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They beat a bottom tier club and they got smacked down by 2 elite clubs. Like, that's kind of where I'm at on Arsenal. But also, they're shit. They're shit and it's great.
I mean, they are also underperforming their XG by 4 after 4 games as well. So that's good.
That's enough about Arsenal then. Let's go to, I don't know, I guess probably at least on paper, the biggest match of the weekend. And that was Leicester 0, Manchester City 1, Leicester 0.8 to Manchester City's 2.8. So approximately a similar scoreline on the XG and the real score for Arsenal Norwich. How much credit are we giving City for doing this to Leicester at Leicester versus, I don't know, not being that impressed because they're a better team than Leicester and so they should be winning more than 1-0, but they put up 2.8 XG. Like, where are we at on City in regards to this result?
You probably have to be a little bit concerned just because Torres didn't really get in the game. So I don't know. I say you have to be a little bit concerned. You look at the table and the teams at the top are Chelsea, Man United, Man City have dropped a couple of points, but they're still obviously well within touching distance. But I wasn't convinced, shall we say, by City in this. I wasn't convinced that they didn't need a striker. I wasn't convinced that everything had been solved by getting Grealish, who had a few nice runs, but wasn't ultra creative. So yeah, it was a bit of a nothing game for City. I was a bit disappointed that Leicester didn't try and fight back a little bit more, if I'm honest.
They did. They came close a few times. Vardy had an offside
that is
goal
true.
Disallowed.
Yeah,
a few others, like they were gunning for it and looked. That could easily have been the kind of XG game or the kind of game where in the past, especially with City's history against Leicester.
Maybe I'm disappointed they didn't finish it off. That was all of it.
Yeah, probably because that
probably
literally that could have finished 2-3-1 Leicester. Like as it was just there, like it was such fine margins.
Especially with the
counter.
offside shots ruled out, like those were so close to onside, and if those, like, obviously they don't count towards the XG, is what I'm saying, if they're an offside shot. So the 0.8,
yeah, that's true,
is a little misleading, I guess there, or
Yeah, definitely, but it's it's still City. Like I maybe I would like them to just have a striker, and maybe it's just because my basic bitch brain can't fathom the way they play because I'm playing checkers and Pep Guardiola's playing 4D chest naked twister. But
mate, you shouldn't put those ideas out in the public domain. We could seriously make money off them.
Damn it. Shit. I'm coming for you, Mattel. Yeah, so they, it still kind of all seems a bit too grouped and a bit congested. They were really packing the box though. And just getting a lot of shots away. That's probably why it's also the XG is so high. But
yeah.
Their XG over the season is 11.2 and they've scored 11 goals. So, in the realms of variance and law of averages across the season, like you're going to have some above, you're going to have some below. But even with the small sample size, like that's still quite good if they're just performing to their numbers, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned shots, and like the City had 25 shots to Leicester's 6. So like that's thoroughly a lot more, which is where your XG is going to come from there. To me, at least, watching it, and I wasn't able to find real-time XG minute by minute. I wish I could. I was trying real hard to find it. But in real time, I remember texting my friend that it was through like 60 minutes, and I said, man, it's really frustrating that City are very clearly in cruise control, and when there's like 20 minutes left in this match, they're going to shift up and just fucking win this game because like they're just the better team. And at least to me, like I said, I haven't found the real-time XG data. That's what it looked like. It was 0-0 relatively far into the game, right? I believe the goal was when? 62nd minute. So yeah, exactly 1 hour. And then it just seemed like they just fucking were like, okay, we saved our energy because COVID ball, and Pep told us to. And then at the hour mark, we're going to turn it up, and then we can beat them in a half hour. We trust ourselves to be able to beat them in just a half hour. That was my read on the situation. It reminded me of old Mourinho, especially Mourinho at Inter, where he would just like defend for the first hour and then open it up and try to win that way. He used to do that at Real Madrid against Barcelona too. Obviously different ways to defend because Man City just defended with possession, but I don't know. They still scare the shit out of me because it really seemed like they weren't even trying for an hour and then they just won and put up a ton of XG because they were just the better team, which isn't great, I think. Fuck that. But let's move to something that is great and happened on Saturday, and that was Chelsea 3! Villa 0, but I guess, Mr. Simpson, I'm going to need you to cue the jingle here.
Ooh, they're better than they ought to be.
Burnley of the week.
This is a Burnley of the week that's mildly churlish, but also really the only game that went against the scoreline in any significant way, because it was Chelsea 1.1 to Villa 1.5.
Was it?
Chelsea getting beaten on XG by Villa is concerning. But Chelsea winning 3-0 when I care in a season where I only care about results is very much not. The big story for me here was the rotated lineup. There was about 5 people in there that you wouldn't normally expect, or at least haven't really played together. I thought that Callum on right wing back with Chalobah next to him was just too inexperienced and too sort of fragile. I wanted to see Aspi in either of those positions, even if I want to see those guys getting minutes. But the big one was Saul. Saul made his debut. Big money signing. Was not up to the speed of the Premier League. He just was not ready to be playing. And you saw that he got taken off at halftime, which, like, when your big new signing gets taken off at halftime, that's not a good look. But he got taken off for Jorginho, and then the second half never looked in doubt. Like, that was 100%. We just, like, put him away in the second half. But that first half with Saul playing there was very, very shaky. That whole back right triangle of Saul on the right-sided central midfield, and then Callum and Chalobah next to each other was like, Villa was just getting all sorts of joy. And I think we were really lucky that Buendia wasn't playing, and I think we're even more lucky that Grealish is gone, because Grealish playing on that side against those three people, we would have been down 5-0 by halftime. Like, we got lucky with that one in the first half, but then, you know, you love to see your manager see something going wrong and make a halftime adjustment, because a lot of managers wouldn't. And especially with a new signing, like, that's like, you know, you got to worry about his confidence a little bit getting pulled at halftime in his debut. But I don't know. Good from Tuchel. Big Rom making his home debut, scoring 2 goals, living his childhood dreams out.
Yeah,
really, really love to see that. He tweeted afterwards that was like, I've been dreaming about this since I think he said 11. And, you know, it was really nice. He botched the celebration, which was great. He tried to do the knee slide. He got stuck. He was just overexcited. Just delightful. I got to say, I was surprised he didn't do the Drogba celebration. I really thought he was going to. I said that to Emily before the match. You know, Drogba kind of like pointing his hands out all kind of, I'm doing a physical motion that even they can't see because my arms are beneath my webcam. But y'all know the Drogba celebration. I don't know. I don't feel bad that we didn't beat them on XG. I think the first half was bad, but I still think we're the better team, and we got the 3 points and 3 goals.
I think it says a lot that, you know, Chelsea, with all their wealth of talent and winning 3-0, and your man of the match was probably Edouard Mendy. Really kept you in it for a lot of the time. Made 8-9 saves, I think. So,
including a double save that was like, I don't know how he got to the second one. Just an amazing, amazing performance from him. Reigning UEFA Keeper of the Year, Edouard Mendy. Thank you. Put some respect on his name.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'll
I forgive
remember
you.
the titles next time. But yeah, I think just Villa need a bit more time to click with the new setup. I mean, yeah, they've obviously also been affected by the Argentinian players, and obviously are in transition as well. So, you know, they've not necessarily been poor at the start of the season, but, you know, I think we were all quite high on them, weren't we?
I was, yeah. I mean, we graded their transfer window and they were like an A+ or whatever. We gave them a very high transfer window grade.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, they're in 12th at the minute. You know, possibly should be doing better than that, but
they'll be fine.
You know, these things take time. So, and Chelsea just had Big Rom banging in goals. Great for my fantasy team. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. Great for us to finally. And this is not a knock on Timo Werner, for the record, who I still stand and would love to see get more minutes. But, you know, in the line of like actual good strikers that we have sometimes, you got Drogba, you got Costa, and now it really does feel like Lukaku is here to be the next person in that succession. He only needs a chance to score.
You'd like to think so for £100 billion.
Yeah, well, you know, so Fernando Torres was 50 million, which at the time was like probably worth about that much.
And Lukaku's twice as good.
That's true.
I mean, I know you don't want to slag off Werner, and that's absolutely fair. But when that ball went through to Lukaku for the first goal, it was never in doubt, was it, that was going to be a goal? Like, as soon as that ball went through, I was like, here we go. Like, there was 5 seconds because he sort of went back on the defender, and but at no point did I question that was going in the back of the net. And that's the difference. Yeah,
I got a little concerned when he did the cutback. I was like, that wasn't a great cutback. But then he scored anyway.
Yeah, I just felt like he looked like he was so confident. The second and it was a brilliant ball, but the second that ball went in, it was just like, this is 100% a goal. I'm very happy for Chuck's FPL team. It was all very good. But yeah, I think it was interesting.
That's the real hero.
Yeah, exactly. That's really what we're all interested in. I think what was interesting was that Chelsea weren't, as you said, clicking quite 100%. And to still win 3-0 is not something that Chelsea necessarily have done in the last 6 months or so. When they're not clicking, they've dropped the odd point. And here they weren't clicking, didn't generate more XG than the opponent and still won 3-0. And I think you might be looking at that being the difference now. So that was good to see if you're a Chelsea fan.
Yeah, that's definitely the narrative that I've seen coming from everywhere, especially after... I mean, it helps that it's Lukaku that scores the 2 goals. You know, I think if it's Havertz that scores the 2 goals today, then maybe it's not so much. But everyone's just been saying, look, Chelsea identified a need. They weren't finishing last season. They were underperforming, especially for shots. Werner couldn't do anything. And, who knows how his game's going to have to adapt and how he's going to deal with the minutes. I've heard some people that think the time is probably going to be up for Werner.
Yeah, Bayern's going to come in January.
Bayern or Dortmund loan, like a 2-year loan and see you later, because Germans do love that kind of thing, or the 2-year loan's becoming more common now, because I don't really understand what his role is in a Tuchel system beyond, this formation, the way Tuchel sets up, kind of in the what would you say it is, Oscar, the 3-4-2-1 in its crudest sense.
That's the shorthand version for it, yeah.
If that's his go-to for, let's say, 70% of games, then Werner's probably not going to be happy with that kind of thing, and they're probably not going to want to keep him. So, it's a bit of a shame because he came incredibly highly rated, but, this Chelsea team at the minute, it's fantastic. Happy for Kovacic as well. The ball to Lukaku was absolutely sensational. The vision for that, impeccable, and gets his first goal at Stamford Bridge as well.
And the vision from the Villa defender to play in Kovacic for his goal was equally impressive. Just a wonderful through ball there. Beautiful through ball. I will say on the Timo thing, just quickly, that I wouldn't be surprised if he's starting on Tuesday. We saw a lot of rotation in this match, I think with an eye on the Champions League. Timo scored over the international break for Germany. And Tuchel was talking about him in the press and was like, we definitely see a role for him. I think we're excited to see him play with Lukaku. I think he can play in the 2 before the 1 in the 3-4-2-1, and would be fine as like a sort of wide forward cutting in. I could very well see us playing like a Pulisic and Werner in that position as a counterbalance to the usual Havertz and Mount, who are more sort of creative, I guess, in a certain sense, whereas Timo and Pulisic would just all be driving towards the box. It would be very much like a diamond-shaped attack. So I could see that coming out in games. I trust Tuchel to manage the players and the rotation, but it is a bummer that Timo has gotten like 0 minutes. But I think we'll see him on Tuesday. I think we're going to see an interesting lineup on Tuesday, and we might see some surprises, but I think that obviously it's Tuchel, and I trust it to go really well. And I do think that's part of why we saw a weird lineup this weekend as well. So, shall we move on, boys?
I'd completely missed that there was Champions League this week, so...
Yeah, it's back.
Interesting.
Back, baby. The title defense starts. But let's move on. Let's move on to... We are recording on the Sunday, so this is the last game. We don't know what happens in the Monday game. And that is Leeds.
We know what happens.
Happens.
It's fucking boring.
Leeds 0, Liverpool 3. Leeds... I don't have the FB ref XG yet because it hasn't been posted, so I'll go off understat here. Leeds 0.7 to Liverpool 4.4. The big story here, other than Liverpool just putting a real fucking dicking on Leeds, is the leg break. The leg break is the story here for me, at least. Did you guys see the incident? The terrible leg break?
Yes, it's I think it's horrific, and Harvey Elliott, we really hope that you make a speedy recovery. He's had a fantastic start to the season after he was on loan in the Championship last year. I think he was at Blackburn and did really, really well, and he's started all their games this season, I believe. So, really, really shame to see for a young player. But then that also means potentially the recovery will be quicker and more comprehensive. But yeah, it was a bad challenge, but a bad challenge in the way that like an accident could happen as opposed to just an outright.
Yeah, it wasn't malicious or anything like that.
If you see what I mean, it was just his leg got trapped, didn't he? Like hooked back round, and it just snapped his left leg in half, basically.
Well, the one thing going in his favour, if we can say that, is that, as you say, it wasn't a foot going over the ball into the sort of shin bone type thing. It was... It looks like it's lower down and will be more like the ankle So while it might be a leg break or whatever, it might be nearer the joint or whatever. So that will go in his favour. It might not even be a season ender. The lower down it is, the more likely you are to sort of recover from it. Do you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like the tibia snapped in half or anything like that, you know. Yeah. So if there is a positive, then let's sort of say that it was nearer the ankle, and it was, like you say, more of a bad accident than a sort of over the ball leg breaker.
It's still the right decision to send him off, though.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
Right.
I agree with that. I've seen a lot of Twitter nonsense saying, "Oh, it wasn't even a foul." It's like, no, come on. You've got to give a red card in that situation. I think there's nothing else you can do. But also, it's not it's not the Leeds player being an utter moron or anything. It was more falling in the realm of one of those things, which sounds ridiculous, but there you go. You know, it's a young player's now got a tricky road back to recovery over this season, but hopefully we'll see him before the end of the season. There were some real nice pictures, I will say, of some lad apparently in a football game broke his arm and ended up in the bed next to him. In the hospital bed next to him, and he's giving him his shirt and all sorts.
That's nice.
Yeah, just a nice thing, because it seemed like this young lad had also suffered in a football match as well. So that's lovely. But yeah, hopefully Harvey Elliott will not be out all season, is the very ridiculously early things I'm hearing. But yeah.
Ian, I'm really glad that you just said the words you just said. As the resident sort of northern boomer traditionalist of the podcast.
Proper football, should have gone in again.
Yeah, exactly. It was barely a tackle. Just one of them things. But the discourse I've seen on Twitter, and I run in very specific, like, unbelievably liberal circles, et cetera, right? But, like, the discourse has more been like, why is our answer, oh, it's just one of those things, it's just a freak accident that happens, as opposed to, like, we should be getting rid of the tackles that even lead to maybe sometimes he'll break his leg, but it wasn't malicious, like this. Right? Like let's stop to ask the question of, like, okay, fine, maybe we gave this red card because of the outcome, and that's a bit harsh, and, like, it was an accident and shit just happens, to, like, wait, why are we even okay with it just being like, one of them things, guess it was an accident? Like, shouldn't we
can I
change the games there? Yeah, Chuck, go in.
Not to be too boomerish about it, but that's quite a stupid discourse to take. Like, what should we be doing to take this happen? Like, it's people sprinting, like, running 20 plus miles an hour sometimes they get recorded at, to chase for the ball. Like, these things are literal things that happen in the game, and it's always happened, and not from a aggression, or not from a malicious intent, a violent intent or anything, but just a coming together, a happening that is experienced in every single form of sport. Like, there isn't a form of sport where you don't put yourself in some form of danger. You know, every Olympic sport you've seen people, like, get, you know, fall, trip, marathons that happen, BMX races, the Tour de France accidents happen, Formula One, rugby, American football. Yeah, every kind of level that there is a form of accident, because you're pushing yourself to the physical limit. And so I don't see how, unless you say, okay, you're not allowed to challenge another person for the ball, how you remove
from behind, I think, is the thing, right? Like, he slid in from behind.
Okay, and he got a red card for it.
Sure.
You can't put the red card barriers up to stop stupid people doing something stupid that is reckless or careless, because, like, we're humans. It's why we're in the fucking state we're in general. Like, the punishment is exactly there for that reason. Like, that's it.
Yeah,
unfortunately, we don't have Minority Report, and we can't have a pre-crime department that stop these things from happening and send them off. It's just whether.
But if we did, Mike Dean would be head of that, and I would enjoy. I would very much like to watch that.
But it's, you know, we've kind of seen that happen, like we said earlier with the Tanganga thing, that he got that yellow card because of what he saw was happening and where things were going to go, like that someone was dangerous. And so, you know, if Strike hasn't done anything there, and it is a competitive game, that he gets sent off. It was the referee's decision on field. It wasn't a VAR after the fact or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's good, and that's kind of the level to which you can happen. That, unfortunately, and I think these guys understand that it's part and parcel of the game, that potentially you're going to get injured. People, you know, it's...
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Honestly, I was just raising the question. But yeah, I think that's fair. Maybe there's a little bit of something about like you shouldn't be allowed to slide from behind or something if we want to really.
You aren't, and you get sent off.
Yeah, but he got the red card, so that already like is there. That incentive is there. So
it's anyway. Whether he would have got the red card if he didn't break the leg. I take what you mean. I'm not going to be
Yeah, exactly. Do we want to talk about Liverpool's dominant attacking display here, or is it just down to the red card?
No, it's not. I think I've jinxed Leeds. Season, not going to lie, because I thought they would be really good, and they're not really doing much. They haven't won a game yet. It's the first time in a top flight season they've ever gone winless in their first 4 games. That's not just Premier League, that's ever. And yeah, they've just not clicked in any way, shape or form at the minute to what we've been accustomed to. And you start to wonder, at what point do we think that there's not a recovery to the same levels from that, because then they have to overperform massively to get anywhere. Liverpool were great, creating so many chances. They would have created a hell of a lot more if Mane and Salah actually did just pass to each other.
I always thought that must be a bit of a myth, but my God, you watch this game and it was unbelievable how many times... I thought the main offender was Mane, I must admit.
Mane today, yeah.
Yeah.
Today, exactly.
His individual XG was 2 because he was just constantly shooting and
it was great for my Fantrax team. Thank you, Mane. All the shots, fantastic. It's crazy that they've built a fucking dynasty with 2 players in a front 3 who don't pass to each other.
That's why Firmino works. Firmino has to be there because he's the one that Mane's like, I'll pass to you, and Salah's like, I'll pass to you. So he has to be the the arbiter.
Yeah, he's the mediator here.
He is the mediator. That's absolutely it. He has to be there for it to happen. Jota's not that person.
Okay, actually, good point. So what's with Jota, right? Because Firmino in this game, maybe because of the South American thing, but for the most part, we've seen Jota picked above Firmino. How do you think that's going? Is that a game changer? I kind of thought that Liverpool were going to be just decidedly 4th. I'm a little more worried now because Jota is fitting in so well so quickly and he's so young and good. Are you guys more sort of hopeful or changing your projection of where Liverpool will finish given the Jota performances so far? Firmino is so vital, right? So can Jota do that well is the question, I think.
I don't think that. But just something different, another threat, another way to change in and out and be a bit more fluid at the front. My concern would be the depth now. Harvey Elliott was kind of the depth potentially for that front area. The change today was Jota off for Oxlade-Chamberlain without Firmino there. So there's, he's not a bad player, but there's a significant dip there in terms of creativity. If Mane or Salah get a long injury, what happens there with their attack? How do they have to adapt their game? And so I suppose that's where the concerns from Liverpool fans for their transfer window comes from. Not bringing in more of those attacking reinforcements is kind of through freak accident coming to a head rather quickly at the minute this year. So, because I think Firmino would have been allowed, but he's got a knock. So it's not a Brazil thing because all the Brazilian, Mexican, Colombian players, I think they were cleared to play. Paraguay, it was just the Argentinians that weren't because I don't know where they are.
Are they in jail in Brazil? Maybe we don't know.
I hope their families are aware of where they are. But I had Liverpool third. I had Liverpool third anyway in a particular league. Ian had them third. Oscar, you had them 4th. So
I think Oscar, you were more prescient than the rest of us because, as I said last episode, I think with the transfer windows that the other teams have had, I still have them 4th. I understand what you're saying about Jota, but I don't think this changes much really. I just think that other teams have improved more. This was a good display, but Leeds have struggled to start this season. They've had bad fixtures as well, let's be honest. I mean, I think they have a run of decent fixtures soon, and if they don't get some points from there, they'll be in real trouble. But yeah, as for Liverpool, I think as well, once you had the sending off and Leeds did not change the way they played. They never do. They still went attacking, and it's maybe to be admired, but it left so much space. For Liverpool to do whatever they wanted to. So, Yeah, I'm still inconclusive, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Leeds already had a negative expected goal difference per 90 going into this. They were on negative 0.45, just barely above Tottenham, which doesn't bode well for them. And then after this match, obviously that's going to significantly hurt their numbers because they got fucking destroyed on the XG scoreline. And Understat, which has updated to include their numbers for this game, has them in 19th on expected points so far. And we're 4 matches in, which isn't a ton, but that is starting to say some stuff. And 19th is stuff.
Hey, Oscar, where are Palace when you sort by expected points?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9th.
Oh,
wow.
ninth.
What did I say? You guys could finish top 10. Look at you.
Who's
there
that?
You are.
Who's the team above us?
I can't read. My screen's all smudgy.
Cheesy?
Yeah, it's us. We're overperforming our XG, so of course. I mean, we've given, out of 4 matches, we've given Chelsea Burnley of the week twice, so that does make sense that they're in the middle of the table.
Got the new Burnley!
Congratulations.
Yeah, we're the new Burnley. You know, when you get a striker who puts every chance away, he needs one shot, one chance, high XG over converter, let's go, Let's finish.
Sort of person you want in your FPL team, isn't it, Chuck?
This is it.
All right, well, that's all the football then. Do we have other stuff?
Can I do rapid fire shout outs for the other games? Can that be a thing?
Sure.
Ivan Toney nearly scoring from the halfway line. That would have been really good. Shame that Brighton scored right at the end. Newcastle scored a fantastic goal. Amazing. We are mentioning that game for a lot of reasons because we won't give it the fucking oxygen. Yeah. But Newcastle cut apart the red shite with 2 vertical passes, a beautiful ball. Manquillo sprinting from his own half.
What a run.
Beautiful. And they nearly came close so many other times. Good things. Steve Bruce, good old tactics. Mikel Antonio is a very silly sausage. Getting himself a red card, but he's probably tired because he flew halfway around the world to lose.
Needs a rest. Needs a rest.
And so obviously West Ham.
His shoulders are heavy from carrying the entire West Ham squad too, I think.
Yeah, they are.
But what shoulders?
What mighty shoulders? What hefty heft? I mean, yeah, they're overperforming their XG by 3.5 after the first 4 games, and they didn't score in this one. So good for Southampton to hold them off as well there. Wolves getting goals. That's nice and winning. And fuck Watford. Watford, who started really well. 3 goals against Villa. They haven't scored in the next 3.
Created nothing.
Right. And we all know who all of you guys have in your predictions for who's going to get sacked first. They play Norwich and Newcastle next. They should win those. I don't think they will. Cisco Munez out by the next international break.
There you go.
Nailed.
Yeah, where can I put a bet down on that one? Because now with Arsenal getting a win, that sort of gives Arteta enough of a stay of execution.
Oh, yeah, that one might come down to the wire, though. That'd be interesting. That's it for the rest of the fixtures. Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right, so shall we move to the Predictor League? What's going on next?
Predictor League of Predictions. We finally get to hear the song, you lucky motherfuckers. At the start of the season, I asked you for your predictions where the Premier League teams will finish, so you gave them in. 39 of you beautiful bastards, and I put them in some tables, worked it out, the standard deviation like a golf score to see where you rank. Yeah, Predictor League.
Oh, so good to have it back. The jingle, I mean, don't care for the competition.
Don't care for the admin. Yes, 39 of you did enter. Gave them thank you very much. But let's go for who are the top scorers. Andy of Sutton, of the Pemprays of Sutton, on 54 points in third. Joint with, I've got him here, just Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy.
Jimmy the Reach. Above that, Dave Mateo, big old stat man. From the land down under. And in first place, she came last year, so I don't know how this bodes well when the table's upside down, is my better half, Gina. She is currently first.
Nice. Hey.
Wow.
She was very confused why I said that that's a bad thing at the moment. And she does have, because she based it on the table at that point, so I think she has Everton and Arsenal just above relegation, which might, you never know.
Right.
Yeah.
With Arsenal, that's in play.
Yeah, that's it. But she put Chelsea winning the league, Oscar, so there you go.
Nice.
we are, Oscar, you and I just outside that as well. You're on 56, I'm on 58. And Ian, scroll. 23rd on 70 points.
Dear.
Are you above your child? Yes, you're above your child. That's absolutely fine.
Thank fuck for that. Jesus.
Thank fuck for that. So we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, the lower score, the better, as we see what the distance is from your prediction to the actual games. But we've done that bit. I don't think we have any other bits. I'll probably be corrected. But, gentlemen, shall we quiz?
Oh, we should quiz.
Oh, shit, I don't have a toy with me.
No.
It's a new one. It's your debut. What did you do on your debut? It's a debut quiz. It's a quiz about debuts.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Is what it is. I'm doing it off the dome piece. Right, this is a standard question and answer.
That was delightful. Highlight of the episode right there. Easily. So good.
If I had known that the Champions League was starting this week, then I would have done my Champions League one. But I think that's better served for next week. It's a return of a classic for those of you who may know. If you know, you know. So get yourselves a pen and paper, gentlemen, for the Premier League debut quiz. My new favourite player, the most beautiful man in the world, Oddson Edouard, scored with his second touch of the ball against Tottenham Hotspur this week. Topspur. But after how many seconds did he score?
Oh.
How many seconds after coming on as a substitute? Closest wins?
It was fucking quick.
It was quick. Question the 2. Which play, and some of these, Oscar, will be a bit of a throwback, but I've tried to keep them as broad as possible that you might get them right. Who knows?
Cheers. I'm only going to be good until they're not soccer related, so just keep doing soccer and Ian's going to run away with this.
Which player's 1994 Topspurs debut goal was celebrated with an iconic dive celebration in tribute to him being labelled a diver and a cheat by England fans? Question 3. This is something that I wasn't aware of until I researched this very quiz. Many hours of research. But there is an initiative in the Premier League called the Premier League Debut Initiative, which is in its 6th year and recognises homegrown under-21 players that make their debut in a season, in a Premier League season. I thought that was quite nice. With an award of that season's ball in a personalised and engraved case. But how many players were awarded this award last season? Was it 54, 59, or 64 players? Good job I remember the answer because I didn't write it down. I just wrote the multiple choice. Classic Sadmin. Of these 54 bollocks, 64 players.
I'm just going to change my answer to the question.
Yeah, me too. Ian, which had you chosen? Because I had 64 at first.
I had 59.
Oh, you would have gotten the point. Thank you, Chuck.
You're welcome. Right, fucking. Which 3 clubs are tied with the most of these players for last season with 7 each? 3 clubs had 7 players in this homegrown under-21 award.
Oh, blimey. Okay.
Which 3 clubs? Question next one. Which player scored the most Premier League goals in their debut season for Sunderland in the 1999-2000 season?
Shit.
Did you guys know that James Milner made his fucking professional debut in 2002? They said that on the broadcast today and I nearly shit myself. 2002.
He is old.
It's really fucking old.
Question the next. How many players have won the Golden Boot in their debut season for a club in the Premier League? Point for each name. While these guys work this out, plug for Patreon. Let's do that.
Do it.
Patreon.com/MilesOffsidePod. You can get all sorts starting at just $2. You can join the Slack. All sorts of great chat, be it football, Formula 1, food, or other. For $5 a month, I think, Ian, you can get bonus podcasts where me and Ian do our weekly FPL show. Oscar does some fantastic nerdy reviews. If you like the Shang-Chi chat from earlier, you'll love the rest. Then eventually...
Oh, good call. I should do a Shang-Chi review.
Yeah, do that. Wait, can you wait until I've seen it. Thanks. $8 a month, you get Oscar's custom stats, which we might have been following along with some bets and had some very interesting results for you coming up in a few weeks' time. Then you can also be a producer, like producer Nate Whittam, producer Johnny Worthington, and producer Mark Daffin. And if you're mental and you want to give us a load of money, you can go the sock it to me route and I'll buy you a year's supply of socks. A year's supply? A month's supply of socks.
Not giving that a run out for
a while.
Yeah,
I like that it's still on the board though. Right, you probably have written some names at least now and given an answer. So, the next question, which Spanish player's 2007-2008 season set a then Premier League record for the most prolific foreign player with 24 goals in 29 starts? And they've been mentioned today. Question, next one, I think it's 8. Who scored the first of their 184 Premier League goals 9 minutes into their debut against Swansea in 2011? And question the 9th. Who scored on their debut following their 2015 transfer that made them the world's most expensive teenage signing at the time? My favourite player, odds on Edouard, scored with his second touch of the ball against Hotspur this week. But after how many seconds? Now, Opta has this, which I figured would be the most reliable to go. Opta has it at 28 seconds. After coming on.
Yes, 28.
Oh,
wow.
From the groan, I'm guessing Oscar didn't get 28.
Very nice. No, I said 36.
36, interestingly, was the old record that he broke to then be the fastest goal scorer on his debut.
That must be what I'm remembering, because I remember them saying 36 on the broadcast.
And what's so perfectly brilliant is the previous record was against Palace. This team is changing things. The player with the iconic dive celebration was Jurgen Klinsmann.
Yeah!
Oh,
Get
well,
in.
Oscar.
That's the only Spurs player from the 90s that I know. That I know of, at least.
Side note, when I was a child, and this was in primary school, I scored a goal and tried to do the Klinsmann celebration, but didn't sort of like slide down into it, just sort of like jumped and belly flopped onto the ground and winded myself in a way. I'm surprised I didn't crack a rib or something.
Bad times.
The puff was blown out of me for a long time. Wasn't good. Never did it.
It's like any child that tries to knee slide like they do in the Premier League without realising like it's a certain type of grass, it's a very watered pitch. Like you can't just do it. You end up looking like Lukaku this week. You just nosedive.
Yeah. Stop.
See you later. Right, question 3. How many players? Yeah, 54.
Ian, did you get that one?
I didn't start with, but
of course you did. Of course you fucking did. Fuck it. It's a point each. It's fine. It's all fair.
Yeah.
There we go.
3 clubs. 3 clubs had 7 each. These were Fulham, Leeds, and West Brom.
Oh dear.
Oof.
Fulham, Leeds, and West Brom.
I had none of those because I just went for teams that I thought had decent academies. So I just went Palace, Chelsea, Southampton. No, not a clue.
I said Chelsea, Burnley, Liverpool because I figure Burnley, like, they only have British players, so homegrown is like exclusively what they do.
I suppose in a way it's kind of because, you know, obviously Chelsea loan out all their players, so they are Chelsea players,
debuts,
but they got the award based on the club they were at. So
right, okay, gotcha.
I suppose you could have had a caveat there, but fuck you. Kevin Phillips was the answer for the 99-2000 season. A
player I've never heard of.
Yeah. Leave him alone. His penalty took Palace to the Premier League. He's our oldest goal scorer ever at 39 years and some days. How many players have won the Golden Boot in their debut season?
I said 2.
2. Ian?
I wrote 3 names down.
You wrote, so I'm guessing your answer is 3.
Yes, that's
right.
That's the inference I was giving you.
So the actual answer is 6.
Shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Shit. So does that point to Ian for being closer?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Or did it have to be exactly on?
Yeah, I don't care. Do whatever you want. The names, Robin van Persie, because of course he moved to Man United and won the Golden Boot in the first season after winning it the previous season with Arsenal. Teddy Sheringham won it the first year of the Premier League, which was also his first year at Tottenham. You could have had Andy Cole, Dwight York, the aforementioned Kevin Phillips, or Mohamed Salah in his debut season for Liverpool.
I would like to put forward a motion that I get no points for that because I had 3 names written down and they were none of those 6. So I don't deserve a point.
Fair enough. I also deserve no points, but I didn't have to concede that, so... Thank you, Ian. I said Shearer and Suarez, for the record, for my 2 guesses.
Suarez, it was about his 4th season, I think, with Liverpool, which was also his last season, and Shearer won it in his 3rd. He was very, very close in his first 2 seasons. Which Spanish players 2007-2008 season set a then Premier League record for most prolific foreign player with 24 goals in 29 starts. His armband says he was a red. Torres.
Yeah, there it is.
Fernando
I'm pretty sure his armband says he won the Asia Cup trophy for the record.
Yes, that is correct.
Ian, did you get that one?
I didn't. I totally blanked on that. It's weird. When Chuck said we'd mentioned him, that made it worse, and I just completely blanked.
He said Milner. He put Milner. The player that scored the first of their 184 Premier League goals, 9 minutes, blah, 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 is Sergio Aguero. Came on as a substitute in about the 60th odd minute.
I had Van Persie.
Oh, no. I thought the number
2011 for Van Persie is so late.
Is it late?
I said Kane. I guess I was probably early by a couple of years on Kane.
Yeah, Kane was out on loan until like 2014. I think 14-15 was his first season at Spurs when he was a 4.5 million forward in FPL.
Yeah,
those were the days.
Housey days.
And the player who scored in their debut, world's most expensive teenager at the time, was Anthony Martial.
Yes.
Tony Martial for like... Which is so funny now that you see like most expensive teenager, and I think the transfer fee was like 38 million. And now that just seems like, well, what a bargain.
Well, it does, yeah. It does, yeah.
Yep. So there we go, gents. Tot up your scores. What did we get? Oscar, how many did you get right?
I'd rather not say. Even with the one you gave us, I got 2. I got 3, I mean. With the one you gave us, I still got only 3, so...
I'm on 5.
Yeah.
Play the music. I mean, I don't know why I get so excited about playing that music. It's so tepid.
I love that music. Do we need to come up with a new winning theme for me?
No, it says everything about you.
I was going to say, I think it suits me perfectly.
It says everything about you. So I make that then 3-2 to Ian. You will have a Champions League special next week. So I'm giving you an opportunity to revise. I'm giving you an opportunity to revise now. It will be about this season's UEFA competitions. So there we go. Fixtures. Let's get into fixtures. Friday. Don't forget, set your games, your teams up for your draft, your FPL. 6:30 p.m. For Newcastle versus Leeds on your Friday night. Then your early fixture on Saturday is Wolves against Brentford. Your 3 o'clocks, Burnley Arsenal, Liverpool Palace, Man City Southampton, and Norwich Watford. Only really... I mean, it's a bit strange that Liverpool and City are in the 3 p.m. blackout for that one. Norwich Watford and Arsenal, that makes sense. Aston Villa versus Everton is your late on Saturday. And then on Sunday, you got 3 games, Brighton Leicester, West Ham Man United, and Oscar. Oh!
Yeah.
That's a tasty
one.
Popping off to the Hotspur Stadium for Chelsea. You got to be looking forward to that, mate, haven't you?
I predict violence. And red cards because it's always how it goes when we play Spurs. But yeah, no, I mean, not to get over ahead of myself, but we're like 10 times better than them. So, that means it should be 10-0, obviously. That's how that works.
If you lose to Tottenham next week, then by lineal champions, like, we're better than you.
Fair enough. That's true.
That's how it works.
Yeah. That is how that works.
That's how it works. Ian, who are Posh playing this weekend?
I'm not sure. I think we've got Reading on Tuesday.
Is that at the selectcarleasing.com stadium?
Probably.
Is that genuinely the name of somewhere?
Yeah, that's genuinely the name of their stadium. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's extremely American is what it is, really.
Oh, and then we're at home to Birmingham on Saturday. So I don't know where points are coming from for a little while. Until we play fucking Bristol City in October, I think we're going to struggle.
So are you guys going to be the worst championship team ever? Like, are you going to set that record?
Oh,
or?
no. Oh, no. Don't worry about
cool.
that.
All right,
Yeah.
but you're getting relegated, right? Like, you're going straight back down.
They've got the previous record, Oscar. It's fine.
For the rest, fuck off.
Do they actually?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's you know what's great, Oscar, is this is so much pain for him, but he could end it at any time by playing the music. He never
likes
learns,
the pain. He's
so
English.
we're just going to keep piling it on.
Come on, you guys are English. You love to get berated.
This is not pain for me because I have confidence that we will stay.
Still hasn't started playing the music.
I'm not going to play the music.
He's not starting the music.
Because
Brilliant.
I need to say that I still feel confident that
4
we
points.
will. Fine.
Read the standing orders.
You have no authority here, Jackie Weaver. Read the standing orders. Read them and understand them. Thank you very much for listening, dear listeners. We've been Miles Offside. Say goodbye, Oscar.
Bye.
Say goodbye, Ian Stimson.
We'll finish 19th.
And then you'll get a points deduction and something would happen. Thanks, Nate Whittam, Johnny Worthington, Mark Daffin. I already gave you a shout earlier, but now you get another one. Speed. Bye.